My name is Joel Rao. I am a husband and a father to 3 daughters, aged 5, 3, and 1. My eldest is called Reshma. Ruby is my second one, and Ramona is my last daughter. Yeah, and I've been married for 6 years. Initially I used to think parenthood is just all about having kids, to be honest. I never pictured myself having kids at the age I had kids. Over time, I've actually realized it's a journey. The mindset I had around parenting was really demystified. So to me, parenthood is a journey. Raising 3 girls. I never had sisters when I was growing up. My wife never had any sisters when she was growing up. So we kind of had like boys around us and individually in our own families. But what was really interesting for us was that we realized raising the girl child is a bit different, from the way we saw our parents raising our brothers. It really dawned on me at a very young age, just the responsibility that is bestowed upon me as a dad. When you hold your baby in your hands, I remember holding my daughter in my hands when she was just born, and looking at her and making a vow that I'll protect her from everything that I'm able to protect her against, and raise her in the right way and be responsible for her well-being. That sense of responsibility changed something in me. I can't really tell what it is, and it was a journey. Now, I'm a type of guy who likes gardening, and I kind of think of our lives as gardens that we need to tend, and the more we take care of it, the more it flourishes. And so for me, raising kids is like, I attribute it in that way. Like, the more attention I give to kids, the more I take on responsibility towards them, the more they'll thrive, the more they'll grow, the more they'll blossom. We knew we were getting our firstborn baby. We were just engaged with my wife. And it was a bit of a big deal, considering that, there is a possibility that this child would be born out of wedlock. And there's a lot of pressure from, family and friends. But, the moment I remember that day, to this day I actually still have the recording of the heartbeat of the baby, the first time we knew we were pregnant. I remember walking into the room and doing the ultrasound. And when we were doing the ultrasound, the first thing you hear is the heartbeat of the baby. And the first thing you hear is the heartbeat of the baby. And I think she was probably 6 weeks pregnant. And that changed everything. All the fear that I had, all the anxiety that I had kind of went off the window that time. And I remember telling myself, I'll do everything in my power to protect this little one. And obviously committing everything in prayer. Like, every other problem that I thought was a problem didn't seem like a problem at that time. And kind of that was like the one step to like overcoming mountains and mountains of challenges that are to come. Obviously the element of worrying of, how are we going to provide for this baby? I was just 24 years old. How are we going to provide for this little one? How are we going to, will family look at us the same way? That sort of thing. We had a wedding coming up. It was just, a lot of emotion coming through. And I remember I told my wife that as long as we are true to ourselves and as long as we stick to our beliefs, nothing should really matter for us. and we'll be fine. And materializing from what I had at that ultrasound room to the cry of a baby and picking her up and soothing her to kind of just keep quiet and letting her know that everything was fine was like, in my mind I knew this is what I'm gonna be doing for the better part of my life, at least until she grows up, to just let her know that I'm here. I'm gonna be here for you. And my second one came, and I remember our second baby had a bit of complications when she was being born. Actually, my wife passed out right after our second baby was born. And to me, I was scared because the baby is crying, my wife has passed out, I'm not sure what's going on. I remember just praying to God and saying, just please let my wife be fine. And my wife came about like probably a few minutes later when the doctors dealt with her. And I remember just going again and walking to my baby and doing the same thing that I did with my first baby, making a prayer and saying, I'm gonna be there for you. I pray to God that I'll get enough life to see you through your adulthood, maybe see your kids also. And to me that was really, really important. When our firstborn daughter was 3 months old, I got retrenched. And I didn't know what was going to happen. And I remember telling myself that, I think it was November, December, around that. My baby came in August. In November, we got the news that, the company will no longer have operations in Kenya. We're let go. So for me, that was I remember it was such a trying time. I remember just thinking to myself, how am I going to do this? I have to go back and look for a job, and in my mind there was so much uncertainty, medical cover. This is a baby, a 3-month-old baby. I remember, flashes of what happened in the delivery room. Me making the promise that I'll always be there to the best of my ability. I remember just walking out of Eden Square where our offices were and walking all the way to Westlands, to the mall, Westlands, down the mall into Westlands Road and back to Eden Square, without really understanding how I did that, because I think I subconsciously did that because I was just in a lot of shock of what had happened. And my instinct was, okay, it's already happened, I need to start looking for a job. And I remember I talked to a bunch of my friends, just checking at their opportunities, blah, blah. It was towards the end of the year. And when I was really trying to find myself in this whole mess, I remember just at an instance, there was an instance where I felt I was worrying too much, and I just needed to take a step back and relax and enjoy what I have, which was my family, my daughter, my wife. And I took a step back, and I remember telling myself, I think I'm good enough to get another opportunity. And so when people knew that this had happened, I immediately started getting offers. And so for me, that gave me peace of mind that maybe taking a step back from the worries of life and just enjoying what you have at that particular moment in time gives you some form of clarity to what is to come. So for me, that was a challenging moment, I remember very well. With our second daughter, because she had complications during birth, I think 8 days later, we went and she was misdiagnosed. She had a cold at 8 days. We took her to one of the best hospitals in Kenya, and the pediatrician at the time just told us, she has a cold, it's a regular cold, don't worry about it, just go back home. And we did reluctantly, by the way, we did go back home. And I remember very well thinking to myself, we probably need a second opinion. So we went home. We were given some, some drops, to clear the nasal passage because she was really blocking. And I remember it was on a Thursday when we went to the doctor. On Friday, nothing really changed. And on Saturday, we drove to to the same hospital but a different, branch. And we met one of the pediatricians there. And the moment she saw the baby, she was like, no, we have to take you into hospital because this baby might be in danger. We don't even know how she survived because she was immediately put in oxygen, and she had a really bad case of pneumonia. And this whole time, this had been misdiagnosed. I've never felt so angry in my life at this doctor. I felt like I knew something was wrong, and against his educated judgment, we still took his advice and we went home, and things worsened, and now the baby is being admitted. But one thing came clear is that, we're all human beings, and over time, regardless of how experienced you are, mistakes will still happen. And I remember one of the other doctors, because I expressed my frustration to the doctor who took us in, and I said, but I came to your hospital and one of your doctors said this happened. Why would you, defend him? It took time for me to get over that. As a result, my baby ended up, becoming asthmatic over time because of that whole exposure to her body, and her immune system wasn't, strong enough to fight the infection, and so we had to live by, taking her to hospital every single time, she got a cold. Just a small cold would just trigger so many things. Being a father to 3 girls is the best. In fact, I normally tell my friends I have 4 girls, including my wife. And the thing with women is, you actually have to give them time and give them attention. Show them that you're there. Not being there, but you really invested in them. And so for me, that has been like the best learning experience there. I'm more of a talker. I had to become a listener. I had to, indulge them in everything that was happening. And, it's not that I've been perfect through it. I've also made my mistakes. I've also had my challenges. But the best times have been, I can say, every single morning when I wake up and I go and kiss them good morning as they prepare to go to school. For me, that's just a blessing. In itself, it's great. My wife kept on telling me every single time, when your daughters grow up, they will look at the qualities that their father had in a man that they choose to end up with. And in many instances, it made a lot of sense to me that if I really want to be the dad that I can be, for my girls to get, the man they want, I need to actually set that example. I need to invest in time and invest in their well-being also. So just being that dad for me was quite the learning experience. Yeah. We'll always be constantly in pursuit of happiness, and in as much as financials have a role to play in that, the true happiness really comes from being sound in the way you actually invest in people around you. And that's the biggest investment we'll ever have, investing in our kids, investing in our families. So to every dad out there, being hands-on in your kids' life, being there, helping them do their homework, taking time off. We are living in an age where fathers, are chasing after their careers, It's really important for us to make time for our kids. Take time, do the homework with them, read with them, do projects with them. Those are the memories that they will live with as they continually grow up. So for me, I feel that it's really, really, really important for fathers to take their role. We are currently living in a society where we are a fatherless society. Kids are growing up without their dads. It's time for dads to take up. It's time for men to take up their role in society and be there for their kids.